Good morning, good morning, and good morning. I want to hop on here real quick. I'm not going to wait for people to come on in the room because I'm just going to post this so you can watch it later anyway. But I just want to say this to all my musician friends near and far, especially those of you who are musicians for hire, meaning that I play for this church, but I'm not a member here. Okay. In my case, I belong to Salem, but I'm the minister of music at Antioch and Mount Moriah. Okay. Now, whereas I'm not a member of Antioch and Mount Moriah, as I just said, I'm a member of Salem. Weren't you paying attention? But whereas I'm not a member of those two churches, they still treat me well. Okay. They still love on me. They still take care of me. So what I'm advising you is, in reference to this pandemic, this is just my little friendly advice, okay? And I'm basing this based on any of the churches I played for from, say, June 2016 back. If I was still playing for one of those churches, this is what I'm about to tell you would apply. In these uncertain times with this pandemic, we don't know what the extent of it's going to be. There's good news out of China that where this all began, they were able to lift the lockdown, which is great, which means that, hey, they made it out of the tunnel. So hopefully and prayerfully, it won't take us 4 months to come out of the tunnel too. Okay. So that's good news in that regard. Good news and bad news here in Nebraska. We've had one death, but I think that we are well over. Oh shoot, I forgot how many cases in Nebraska. I don't even want to give the number because I don't want to sound silly. But anyway, Nebraska is kind of like almost like a low risk area. But I said all that because I'm building up to something. If I was still playing for one of those churches from June 2016 back, and they came to me and said, Brother Hawthorne, we are not going to be able to pay you during this time of crisis, but we would still appreciate it if you would come and play every Sunday. Well, if I was in that situation, knowing those churches, that would be a firm no from me. Let me tell you why. First of all, my first question would be, okay, you can't pay me, you can't afford to pay me during this time of crisis. But my number one question is going to be this. Is Pastor still getting paid? Because if Pastor's still getting paid, but you want me to sacrifice, and you ain't even asking me, you telling me basically you made the decision for me that I got to give up my salary during this uncertain time, but you still get to drive your car, and you still get to put food in your house, and those men weren't charitable either. And so basically, like I said, since I'm being ambiguous, you can guess any number of the preachers I'm talking about. But I'm just saying thank God for deliverance. Because post June 2016, I'm not worried about that. But once again, musicians, you need to weigh stuff like that. Now, I know people like to get off into all about, well, you're supposed to be doing this for the Lord. I am doing this for the Lord. Okay? But what people don't seem to understand is I'm not going to risk my life for a bunch of people who don't appreciate me. And I'm also not going to risk my life for people who mistreat me, disrespect me, don't show me any kind of love or appreciation. Okay? But for the sake of them looking good and them coming out smelling like a rose, and for the sake of them wanting to sound and look and be perfect, they want me to for free. I got to come up with money out of thin air to put gas in my car to get to them and play for them for free during the crisis. Once again, pre-summer 2016, I wouldn't have did that for them. Post 2016, basically present day, the two churches I play for, I probably would be willing to do that for them. But I said all that to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, singers, musicians, make sure that people appreciate you so that at least if they can't pay you, they can pay you. Okay, make sure people appreciate what you do. We all going through this together. And yes, we are all making sacrifices. Yes, we are warriors for Christ. We are still praying. It's not all about money, which I hope I've established that in my kind of little roundabout way. But once again, don't ever let anybody back you into a corner and make you feel some kind of way because you're not willing to sacrifice for them, especially if they're not willing to sacrifice for you. You know, in this time, people are really, really trying to take advantage of folks. You know, not just with, you know, lying about, you know, oh, they got a cure for it. No, they don't. No, they don't. If they did, it would be breaking news. But you always got that one dude who stocks shelves at one of the local grocery stores overnight. He know everything about what's going on in the government. Don't listen to that dude. Why are you listening to him? He don't know nothing. If he did, he wouldn't be stocking shelves at 4 o'clock in the morning at the local grocery store. But I digress. Back to this. So in summation, if your church comes to you and says, hey, we're not going to be able to pay you over these next few weeks because, of the crisis we're going through with the pandemic, but we'd appreciate your help if you can. And make sure they understand if you choose not to do that, that you're doing it because you just can't afford to do that. You know, me, I have a health problem. You know, I have one of those underlying health problems that, with me being diabetic. And, I have a little residual, diabetes causes residual problems. But, so I would have to make that hard decision. But I'm glad that I play for two churches with two pastors that understand if I would not be willing to come out. I mean, even with getting a check, I still have to be careful. I'm scared to go to the grocery store, to be honest with you, because people are nasty. But I didn't mean to go into all that. But anyway, look, be encouraged, stay sharp, stay focused. If your church just completely shut down, that'll be a good time maybe to take that keyboard out or get in the studio or wherever you can and, create some music. There's got to be, people are try to be funny and say, it's going to be so many babies that are going to be born 9 months from now, perhaps. But also, let's spin that to something, less carnal. I'm hoping and praying that out of this time of uncertainty and disease and, isolation, it ought to be so many great new songs coming out. Entire 2 or 3 volume albums coming out. It ought to be so much music being written right now. You know what I mean? Because this isolation, this time of quarantine, I would advise you turn the TV off, get off Facebook like I'm about to do, and pick up that pen and paper and get to that keyboard, because it's got to be so much new music coming out at the other end of this. I'm looking forward to that. That and, being able to, you know, get pickup from Walmart again. But I digress. Listen, but like I said, had had good church today at Antioch. I'm so thankful to Pastor Hawkins uh, for being the great leader he is. My longtime friend Sonia, his wife, Chantel, Chris, DeWine, Jairus, David, Brother Conley, who's running the camera and running downstairs to do the sound, and he'd run back upstairs to adjust the camera and do the graphics and all that other stuff. Listen, church was very, very good at Antioch today, and church was good at Mount Moriah today. Both services were relatively short and sweet, but I'll say this and then I'm going to get off here. Sometimes it's not about the big things. I think everybody is always impressed because they see, obviously, if somebody lives in a big house, they might be doing well. But you need to pay attention to the person who might be living in that little house at the end of the block. Because that person that lives in that little house down the block might have more than what this person in this big house on the other end of the block could ever have. Y'all get that later. In other words, well, I'll give it to you now. In other words, sometimes you might have a big surprise waiting inside of a small box. Yeah, that's where I wanted to go with that. But anyway, yeah, church was good today. Week 2 of powerful church. We weren't big in numbers, but God still moved. God is still present. So once again, be encouraged. Work on some music, and even if you don't write anything, break out that hymn book and rearrange a couple of those hymns. Kind of need to freshen them up a little bit. Easter's coming. 1 week from today will be Palm Sunday. 2 weeks from today will be Easter Sunday. And we are praying for a miracle. And we are thanking God in advance for a miracle. So once again, be encouraged. Stay focused. And remember what I said in the last video. If you know of anybody who is dealing with depression and anxiety, make contact with them. Like I said, if you got to go to their house and knock on their door and tap on their window pane and make eye contact with them, they don't have to open the door. You don't have to go in, but just say, look, I needed to lay eyes on you to make sure you're okay. A phone call is fine. FaceTime is fine. But that personal contact is even better. All right? All right. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you like what I had to say. And I hope you like it. If you like it, please share it. Be blessed. Enjoy this sunny day. And I will talk with you the next time.